2 of the 31 Days of BPD, and I'm continuing with managing an episode, and this is part 3, challenging. So we've distanced, we've communicated, and now we start to challenge. I want to reiterate here that we need your levels really to have been down by now, maybe even if it's 1 level, but by the time we get to this challenging stage, we really are hoping that the levels have come down a bit. If they are still really high when you've done your distancing and communication, I would say stay distancing, stay communicating for a bit longer, maybe do another distancing of 10 minutes, do some breathing, and we'll talk about other techniques in other videos, but this is this is how you can move on to the next bit. So like I would say, I would move on to this 3rd stage once you have brought your levels down. If they're still up, continue to work on that. So challenging your thoughts. So when you're in an episode, you will have a lot of distorted thoughts. You will probably have distorted thoughts about your problem that you're in. Remember, we're talking about managing a problem, managing an episode which could have been triggered by a problem. So it's the problem that you're thinking about, or maybe one that you're currently in, a situation you're in, like a horrible event or something like that. So when you're at that level, you will have distorted thoughts because you're not in that state of real. You could be dissociating and at a too high level to really be able to do anything else. So distorted thoughts can happen during an episode, or it can cause the episode. So like I say, you could be fine and then have a distorted thought about someone, and then that may then lift your levels up. So by challenging the thoughts, you are then spotting your thinking errors. And it's really important because we have distorted thinking in mental illness as a general thing. It's one of the main areas that we suffer from. Our disturbed thoughts, disturbed feelings, and disturbed behaviours. So by challenging our thoughts, and let's try and think of some examples. So for example, someone has said to you, that piece of work you did recently wasn't very good. It's not the best way of saying it, so if someone has said it's like that to you, then they're not very nice. What you could then say is that person may have been in their own place when they made that comment. They've got their own issues going on, and it might say to you, look, why am I trying to control why am I trying to think of what that person's thinking? It's impossible to try and think of what people are thinking. It really, really is. So by challenging the thoughts now, when your levels are a bit lower, try and challenge some of your thoughts now. If maybe you've had an episode recently, write down all the things you were thinking in that episode, whether it be that person's like this and I'm like this, I'm a terrible person, I'm never going to amount to anything, I'm a piece of rubbish, I'm useless, I'm hopeless, I'm worthless. Challenge all of those. Maybe don't challenge them all because that's quite a few, but maybe pick a couple. And then I'm going to go through these questions with you. So think of your challenge now. Maybe write down, pause the video if you need to, and write down some things that people have said to you recently, maybe that have triggered you, or maybe write down what happened in your last episode, what thoughts you had. And now let's go through these questions. So these are challenging questions. These are just a few to give you some ideas, but you can think of some yourself. So what evidence do I have that this is true? So someone said to you they didn't like that piece of work that you did. In fact, they said that piece of work that piece of work was really not very good. So you could say, what evidence do I have this is true? So have you done other pieces of work that were really, really good? Did this piece of work, did you feel you gave your all to it? Did this piece of work, is this something that maybe that person had their own issues that day and they need to deal with them? What evidence do you have? Have you produced a huge full volume of fantastic body of work and this one piece has let you down? Then we're focusing on the negatives here, we're not thinking about the positives. So that could be part of your thinking errors. Have I had past experiences that contradict this thought? I'm trying to think of a different example because it's not the best one. Okay, say someone said something. No, say you're at an event and you have to do. No, that's not very good either. Okay, let's just go back to someone saying something. So someone said something that's not very nice. So have any of your past experiences been able to contradict that? What about your other friends? What do they say to you? What about your other work colleagues or other people that are around you? Do they say these things to you? You know, if it's only one person doing it, maybe it could be their problem and not yours. It's really hard to think these ways. When I first did this challenging thing, I was kind of like, God, I've never done this before, and it is quite challenging. It's quite hard, quite challenging. It's challenging to challenge yourself, but it really is. So, if someone I cared about had this thought, what would I tell him or her? You know, would you have done it the same way? Would you have approached it the same way? Would you have said it differently? Do you think they could have said it differently? If I asked 100 people if they believed this thought, what would they say? Challenge them, you know, challenge your belief that actually maybe you're a pretty cool person and that actually this challenge could be because of someone else's issues. How is this thought helping me? If this thought is going around and round in your head and it's making you miserable, making you miss work, making you phone in sick or miss school or things like that, then this thought is really, really not helping you, and you need to dissect this thought and go through it and, you know, challenge it in every way possible. Like I say, do not do this phase until your levels are down, because it could cause you to trigger yourself again. It could also, like I say, you're not in that rational thinking place to apply rational thinking to thoughts. So if you're, if you're at the wrong level, it's not going to work, and it could actually cause you more distress. So that's challenging. That was part 3 of managing an episode. I'm now tomorrow going to be talking about distracting, managing your episode part 4, and hopefully you will be able to use some of these when you're having an episode, or maybe even just make a note of the 5 different things so you can try and apply these to your life. Thank you for watching today. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Please let me know how you're going with your challenging. Do you challenge these thoughts, or do you help other people challenge theirs? Are you a carer of someone with BPD? Do you have to help with them when they're in an episode? Anything you can about challenging your negative thoughts, or anything about negative thoughts in general, chuck it all down below. Can't wait to hear from you. Thanks for watching, take care, and I will see you tomorrow. Cheers. Bye now.